सदातुच्छव भूत्वा दीनगणेशकं करुणया कोऽपि न कण्ठासितौ तत्त्वा तु नमसे समण्डलपतिशनिं सदातुच्छव भूत्वा दीनगणेशकं करुणया कोऽपि न कण्ठासितौ गोपी भावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नोन्मुहो वन्दे रूपसनातन रघुजगं श्रीजीवगोपालकौ कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन परं प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन परं प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि कुजत कोकिलहं संसार सुगण कीर्णमयूराकुले नानारत्ननिबद्धमूलपिटप श्रीयुक्तवृन्दावने राधाकृष्णमहर्निशं प्रभजतौ जीवार्थदौ जौ बुधा वन्दे रूपसनातन रघुजगं श्रीजीवगोपालकं कृष्ण कीर्तन गानन तन परं प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि धीराधीर जनप्रियं प्रियकरं निर्मत्सरं पूजितं शङ्खापूर्वकनामगाननतिभिः कालावसानिकृतं निद्राहारविहारकादिविदितं चत्तन्तौ दीनौ च जं शङ्खापूर्वकनामगाननतिभिः कालावसानिकृतं निद्राहारविहारकादिविदितं चत्तन्तौ दीनौ च जं गोपी भावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नोन्मुहो वन्दे रूपसनातन रघुजगं श्रीजीवगोपालकं कृष्ण कीर्तन गानन तन परं प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि कृष्ण
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, and good morning, everyone. And welcome to the Prabhupada Disciples Association Hare Krishna Society weekly Zoom classes. And these classes are a service to our spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And as you know, our goal is to protect his legacy, the philosophical position of the Guru as always living in sound with his disciples. Yes, it's a mission that we've undertaken, and we also are working, as you know, to distribute his original books. I have a collection of Gitas here, over 40, and when the appropriate person comes, I distribute a Gita to them. And in this way, we're looking for quality, not quantity. It's a very important part of spiritual understanding, because Prabhupada, as I mentioned yesterday, I was listening to a lecture, Prabhupada said, only if a person is really serious about spiritual life should they take initiation. It's the seriousness of the student that makes him aware of the principles of Guru Tattva. This Guru Tattva principle is the fundamental essence of our philosophy, not any other. And I wanted to mention further that in the material world, padam padam vipadam natesham, there's always trouble. Just know that. Do not think that things will not be problematic in life, because there are always problems. Most significantly is the health issues, as Dr. Ram Raghava knows, as a physician himself, that the miseries of the material body are very difficult for people to deal with. We're seeing all kinds of, these days, people, excuse me, who are suffering with their health, like I am, sort of. So it was actually interesting, Rama Raghava. I went for a cystoscopy on Tuesday this week with my surgeon, who is a genius. I know that materially. And it was interesting. I always offer a great respect for him, because he, in a sense, he was the instrument that saved my life in the hospital when he performed the cancer operations on me. And there were 5 operations. And he was very, like say, expert, Ram Raghava, in dealing with it. And they have a wonderful institute here that deals with urology institute with McMaster University, and they specialize in dealing with these problems. He's had thousands of patients, 10,000. He's done like unbelievable. So I give him honor, and he bows to me. Dr. Masumoto, when he comes in, because when I see him, I always give him a great honor, because I know what he did. He was thankful. I'm so thankful to him, and he was Krishna's instrument, but I gave respect to him. I always give respect to him, because it's who he is. He's a very hardworking, focused man. So like that, trouble can come. When I was in the hospital, I saw all the people there that were there lined up. He was doing 28 cystoscopies that morning, 28. So we're all sitting in the waiting room, and I was talking to them, and I was asking everyone, what's your age? And there were 70 and 69, and I'm thinking, oh my God, When you don't have your health, you have no wealth. It doesn't matter who you are. You can have millions of dollars. Prabhupada told us that, but if you don't have your health, you have to, everything stops. So we have a great opportunity while we still have our health, all of us. We can walk, we can talk, we can do things, we can be active. The energy of the spirit soul is still vibrant in this particular frame. And we have a great opportunity to serve Srila Prabhupada in association with all of us. We're not on our own. We're not islands unto ourselves. That's a lot of times that's what people are. They're so mentally deranged, let's say, that they can't get along with anybody. They don't. And there's the false ego constantly operating and all kinds of difficulty in their life. And it just filters over into everything they do. And it's unfortunate. And we see these situations philosophically going on in the ISKCON world. That's a tragedy where we're sorry. We feel sorry for them as best as we can. But we're marching forward on our own and we're doing good. Prabhu, is there a chance that you could put up the details on the initiation? Any of our hosts? I did send the rules in Google Documents, and I wanted to quickly read them over before we go to the diaries. Is there anybody that can put it up, Rupesh or Ram Raghava? Have you got those, and could you share them on the screen? Do you see them? Ram Raghava, do you see them at all? I sent it by an email link a few days ago. Maybe Nilesh has it. I sent it to 3 or 4 people in the hope we could do it. If we can't, that's okay. I can kind of say it without it. It's more organized in online. Basically, I'll say it. Oh, here we go. Thank you. Thank you. So, letter of referral submitted to the Prabhupada Disciples Association from a member of the Hare Krishna Society or other association, promoting Srila Prabhupada as the sole Diksha Guru, verifying the authenticity of the candidate as very serious and sincere in his request for initiation. So I think that says what it is. You know, it's an internal motivation that you have, that you want to become serious. It's not about us, it's about the candidate. 2, the candidate will then submit an application to the PDA Brahminical Council, providing some background on his devotional career and why he wants to become a Prabhupada disciple. So we'd like to see something written. If the candidate is approved by the PDA HKS, then they'll be invited to participate in an online interview. Now, the interview is all it is a discussion to see how the candidate feels personally about his spiritual life. And we just listen. We're not here to challenge. We want people to get initiated. 3, the applicant must attend the weekly online Zoom classes of the Prabhupada Disciples Association Hare Krishna Society for a minimum 6 months prior to initiation. In order to become familiar with the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, according to Srila Prabhupada's instructions and explained correctly to the candidate by HKS PDA. This is natural. You know, we're qualifying people, and a lot of times people reach out to me and they want to ask me different questions. And I tell them, just go to the classes. Just go to the classes, listen to the classes, subscribe, and that pretty much says what we're about. It's not rocket science. It's really simple. The candidate 4 will follow our 4 regulated principles of no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex life, and no gambling. He will also submit a daily schedule of his regulated program. So we're looking at that, just simple. The candidate will critically study and read the unedited versions of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, Sri Upanishad, Nectar of Devotion, and Nectar of Instruction. Let's see if I've forgotten anything. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. I talked to one of our God brothers about this, and he said, well, for the first initiation, these would be the initial books, and then they could move forward with the Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and this would move them into the second stage, which would be a Brahminical initiation. So that was a suggestion from one of our members, that we break it down like that. So Gita, Ishopanishad, Nectar of Devotion, and Nectar of Instruction. And the candidate will also chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra for 6 months prior to approval. So this is the same as Prabhupada wanted all of us to do. The candidate then will be interviewed by 3 members of PDA Brahminical Council online. So once again, we're building up rapport with the candidate, and we're getting a feeling of what their motivation, if they're really serious. It's simple. Upon approval by the members of the council, the initiation date and ceremony will be set. So we're doing one in December. Actually, this next week, I believe there's one that Yashoda Prabhu is performing a fire sacrifice, and we're very excited for that. And we just had 3 people initiated in Mexico 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, with Krishna Kishore and his wife conducting the fire sacrifice. And these devotees, this couple, are very serious about spiritual life, and it shows by their commitment, daily commitment to it, and we really want to support them, and it's them that's deciding what to do. We're just going along to help. Upon of the initiation, and that will set up, a set of japa beads will be submitted by mail and chanted on by the Ritvik priest and returned to the candidate. So just a simple system. A spiritual name will be rewarded to the applicant. Nowadays, we have Yashoda Ram Raghava. Yashoda Nandana Prabhu. I just tell him, because for me, he's the most committed Prabhupada disciple on the earth, period. No question. And anybody that thinks that he isn't, then they don't know him. The initiation ceremony will be organized by the PDA Brahminical Council in cooperation with the persons who recommended the person for initiation. So what we did with Mexico, Ram Raghava, was Yashoda couldn't make it down, so they sent the beads over. They came to Casa Goloka, and we chanted on the beads. Krishna Kishore, his wife, and myself, we went on a japa walk, and I chanted on the beads for them, and then they took them back. And Yashoda did the names just to facilitate it, because there's all kinds of logistics there, and mail and this and that, just to make this work. Remember, the commitment is by the individual, Tom. It's not all of us. It's them that make the commitment. Devotional service will be given specifically to each new candidate disciple in support of the mission of HKS PDA and the candidate's local leadership group, which in this case, in Mexico, is Krishna Kishore, and they go out on Sankirtan, and they've got their thing, and it's great. The initiate will sign an oath of allegiance to HKS PDA and their local sponsor. And just the final thing with this oath of allegiance, it originally was introduced by Atreya Rishi. I think you may know this, Ram Raghava, the history. So there was an oath of allegiance, and I searched it out online, and I saw it, and I go, oh, okay. And Prabhupada approved of it back then. They were having trouble having people committed to this. And so what I did was I thought, well, let's update it so it relates to the time and circumstance that we're in currently. So it's basically saying, it's like, for example, Tom, you have people in the Masonic Lodge. You might have heard of them, the Masons. I don't know much about them, but I know one thing, that they have this oath of allegiance for their organization. They're a big organization worldwide, and they're very successful, but they're secretive. So I'll read at our next session this oath of allegiance so you get it. It's just saying we're committed as a group to work together. That's basically all it is. And we don't want to wander around all over the place, because it's a very confusing world that's out there in the Gaudiya Vaishnava world of philosophy. A lot of confusion. And we want everybody to be focused, and then with this, we can have some strength together as a group. So this is I hope you understand, the motivation and the reason behind it. We're going to go forward now with our diaries, and let me see what we got. I don't see our godbrother Yashodanandana here. Maybe, I don't know about all of you, but up here in Canada right now it's 17 below zero. So it's cold up here. I got my ski jacket on in the house. But I think we're at, in the diaries, we're at, oh yeah, here we are. I got this bookmark from Aprakrita. He made 1,000 of them. I have a box of them. And before he passed away. And it's very, very helpful. I got these. I give them out to people, try to encourage them to come to our classes. But I got it here in the book, so we're marked. And we're at June 10th, actually, we're at the letter. I don't know if the letter is in the online, is June 11th. Okay, so I'm going to read the letter. This particular version online leaves out some very important things. This is the letter here from Prabhupada, that Prabhupada received. So I'll read it. It's a short letter from India, and it's to Bhaktivedanta Swami from the JK organization. March 28th, March 1966. Dear Sir, Sri Padma Pachji Singhhaina has received your kind letter of the 18th instant. I, however, regret to write that Sri Padma Patiji is not interested in the scheme of building a Radhakrishna temple in New York at present. In regard to the inquiry contained in the last paragraph of your letter, Sri Padma Patji duly received your books, Srimad Bhagavatam, from your Delhi office, and it's signed by the secretary. So another rejection. Anyway, Prabhupada never discouraged him. This is the way it is. You got to keep going. Saturday, June 11th, 1966. Sunrise was 4:31 a.m., sunset 7:28 p.m., moonrise was 12:44. Astami, today I paid Paul $2 and Carl $20. Total expenditure was $22. I received one letter from Mangal Nuloy and replied to it. Afternoon, there was a Sanskrit class, 5 attended, and the contribution was $2. One letter written to J.N. Wankawala for confirmation. On Sunday, June 12th, 1966, the sunrise was at 4:30 a.m., the sunset was 7:29 p.m., and moonrise was 1:04 in the morning. Navami today, the eating of the members took place. I cooked 12 different items. And all present, more than 16 ladies and gentlemen, ate with great pleasure. Can you imagine? Maha Prasadam from Srila Prabhupada. The introduction was all right. It was all the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Prabhupada's evaluating himself. I always look and see how bad I'm doing in the introductions. I try to correct myself from week to week. J. Wankanwala letter by airmail posted, expenditure 50 cents, income book, AC, accounts receivable 80 cents, and the contribution was $3. It's $3.80. Sunrise, 4:30 a.m. This is June 13th, 1966, in New York City. Prabhupada's still in the Bowery Ashram. Sunrise, 4:30 a.m., sunset, 7:29 p.m., moonrise was 1:27. Dasami, today in the morning class, there was some discussion on friendship and discipleship with Mr. Paul. Interesting. That's what we talked about today. I could not go out because Paul was not in. Prabhupada was afraid to leave because there was no, security. And he had been robbed multiple times, unfortunately. 2 letters received from one Chandrasekhar and the other from the Indian Embassy, Washington, D.C. It was good. And it's good to see you, Shodanandana Prabhu, on the screen. Welcome, my dear godbrother. Thank you. I'm so happy you're here. I wasn't sure how we were going to handle the whole thing if you don't show up. In the evening, there was a meeting. The attendance was 9 only. Once again, up and down. 20, 10, 9, 5, no money, some money. But the collection was the poorest, at the same time the highest, because somebody paid in the bucket $100. So total contribution was $103. There was a book collection of $2. So we only need one person to step up. We don't need, there it is, perfect example. It was the lowest, but it was the highest at the same time, he goes, because somebody kept stepped up. So the total contribution was $103. There was a book collection of $2. So the total was $105. And there was no expenditure today. Penny saved is a penny earned. And a night Carl remained with us. Because Yashoda's here, I was kind of extending as I was waiting for you, Prabhu. I was really worried. But I'll read the Tuesday, June 14th, 1966, back in time. Might be before you were born, I think, Tom. How old are you, Tom? How old are you? Is your mic working? Are you 30? He's 25. Okay, so it's before you were born, way before. Actually, you were born in 1999. Eh? I think that's right, yeah. You're a young man. Sunrise, 4:30 a.m. Sunset, 7:30 p.m. Moonrise, 1:49. Ekadasi in the morning. Carl, Nelson, and Paul attended the class. A book collection was $7. Paul was paid for expenditure. That's Paul Murray. He's giving his rent. He gives $1 a day or $2 every day to contribute. No letter received. A bank deposit of $120. Okay. He's reconciling his bookkeeping. Diligently, Ram Raghav, you can see he's every penny. At night at about 3 o'clock, Paul left the place, intimating Carl that he would be away for 2 days. So he's probably going on an acid trip. Carl deposited money at the telephone office. As expected that next week by Tuesday there'll be telephone connection in my name. $40 paid by Paul for such deposit. So lots of information here today in the dialogue. And Yashoda, we read the rules for initiation prior to when you got online, so it was very interesting. I hope everybody found it that. And if you have any questions, anybody on anything, call us, call Yashoda or myself or any of the other senior devotees and ask them. And we can have a dialogue and move forward, etc. All glories to the Sankirtan movement and all glories to the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society. Let's have the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava and then the class or the reading and discussion, as Yashodanandana prefers, on Bhagavad Gita as it is, the 1972 unedited, unadulterated edition. Hare Krishna.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Nandana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Nandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Jaya सदस्य मान भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Naranarayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. My apologies for being a little late today. A little accident yesterday while chopping wood in the woods here. But I'm very happy to be here amongst all of you. As we do every week, we will be reciting a few selected verses personally chosen by Srila Prabhupada in 1966 in New York in his introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakanvitamscha I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatana Goswami, as well as Raghunath Dasa and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostuti. O my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Ghorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desired trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We will proceed with our specific text today. We are reading, it's important to note again, that this reading is being conducted from the original non-edited, non-adulterated, non-interpolated 1972 Macmillan edition. We're reading today from chapter 12, text number 6 and 7, all synonyms, translations, and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Ye tu sarvani karamani mayi sanyasya yatmatpara ananyeneva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate te shamaham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat parta Maya Vaishita Chetasam. Ye, one who, two, but, Saravani, everything, Karamani, activities, Mayi, unto me, Sanyasya, giving up, Matpara, being attached to me, Ananyena, without division, Eva, certainly, Yogena, by practice of such bhakti yoga, Mam, unto me, Dhyayantaha, meditating, Upasate, worship, Tesham, of them, Aham, I, Samudharata, deliverer, Mrityu, that, Samsara, material existence, Sagarat, from the ocean, Bhavami, become, Nachirat, not a long time, Partha, O son of Prita, Mayi, unto me, aveshita, fixed, chetasam, of those whose minds are like that. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. For one who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engage in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Prita. For him, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. It is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from material existence by the Lord. In pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to Him. His duty is to render service to the Lord. If not, then he will render service to Maya. As stated before, the Supreme Lord can only be appreciated by devotional service. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. One should fix his mind fully on Krishna in order to achieve him. One should work only for Krishna. It does not matter in what kind of work one engages, but that work should be done only for Krishna. That is the standard of devotional service. Go back one paragraph there. Go ahead, go down. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life's mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction, just as Arjuna did in the Battle of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord herein promises that he will, without delay, deliver a pure devotee, thus engaged from the ocean of material existence. Those who are advanced in yoga practice can willfully transfer the soul to whatever planet they like by the yoga process, and others take the opportunity in various ways. But as far as the devotee is concerned, it is clearly stated here that the Lord himself takes him. He does not need to wait to become very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual sky. In the Varaha Purana, this verse appears. Nayami paramam stana marchiradi par gatim vina garuda skanda maropya yatecham manivaritaham. The purport of this verse is that a devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer his soul to the spiritual planets. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord himself. He clearly states here that he himself becomes the deliverer. A child is completely cared for by his parents, and thus his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by yoga practice to other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by his great mercy, comes at once riding on his bird carrier Garuda, and at once delivers the devotee from this material existence. Although a man who has fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he's easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from this material existence. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotional service. Any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. In the Narayaniya, this is confirmed as follows. Yave sadhana sampatti purushartha chatushtaye tayavina tadapnoti naro narayanasrayaha. The purport of this verse is that one should not engage in the different processes of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge by the mental speculative process. One who is devoted to the Supreme Personality can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic processes, speculation, ritual, sacrifices, charities, etc. That is the specific benediction of devotional service. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily. But this destination cannot be approached by any other process of religion. The conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is stated in the 18th chapter. Sarvadharaman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papibhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaham. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful actions of his past life because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the Supreme Omnipotent Godhead Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. There's a very interesting story in a Srimad Bhagavatam that I'm sure many of you have heard, the story of Dhruva Maharaj. When he was a young boy, he had been slighted and offended by his stepmother, and he became very angry. Some way or other, he ended up going to the forest and practiced very severe austerities. It is described in the Bhagavatam, his austerities were so severe that at one point he was just eating dried leaves and eventually just subsisting on air because he wanted to achieve something greater. He wanted to achieve vengeance against his stepmother. He was not happy. So he practiced these austerities with the motivation to obtain a material benefit. So after practicing these austerities, ultimately Lord Vishnu came to see him. And when Dhruva Maharaj saw Lord Vishnu, he paid his obeisances and he said, Twamin kritartosmi varam nayache. Now that I've seen you, my Lord, I do not wish anything else. I simply want your service. Now, this is very important because when we see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Shikshastakam, he expresses a similar sentiment, devotional sentiment. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. I don't want any beautiful women. I don't want any followers. I don't want any wealth. I don't want to be a famous poet. Well, if you don't, in the material world, everybody wants that. So what do you want? Mama janmani janmanishwari, birth after birth, bhavatad bhaktire tukitvayi. I simply want to be engaged in your loving devotional service. Now, it should be understood that devotional service comes in many different ways. But in order to take up the process of bhakti in this lifetime, Prabhupada explains in the Nectar of Devotion in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that usually it has been done in a previous life. And in this life, we get the chance to continue from the efforts of a previous life. But Rupesh just posted something here, very interesting statement from the Bhagavad Gita. He says, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6:22, Yam labdva chaparam labam manyate nadikam tataha. If one can attain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has nothing to aspire for, nor does he desire any other gain. Now, this is a very important point because we've all experienced, we have seen certain devotees who take to the process of bhakti, but some way or other they get diverted to different other paths, to different other motives, because the process of bhakti is not so easy. On one hand, sometimes it is described as very easy to practice. On the other hand, to achieve pure bhakti or unalloyed devotion, it is not so cheap, because sometimes that bhakti becomes mixed, mishra. Mishra in Sanskrit means mixed. Just like if you take water, you can mix water with many different things, with different colors, you can with different kinds of foods, and it will change the nature of that product. So bhakti is meant to be without anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadya navritam, without fruitive activities or desires for sense gratification and mental speculation. And it should be done favorably. And that kind of bhakti is described by Rupa Goswami as bhakti ruttama. It is considered the highest bhakti. Now, there's numerous Vedic literatures like the Narada Bhakti Sutra, Sandilya Sutras, which describe, just like the Vedanta Sutra is spoken in different short codes, which summarizes the topic of spiritual life. In the Bhakti science, great acharyas like Sandilya, Narada Muni, and others have given the codes of bhakti. And always it is described it should be done without personal motivation or upadi. Upadi in Sanskrit means designation, artificial designation. Now, this is very important because we practically can observe that some persons who may be materially motivated for name, fame, power, prestige, position, profit, adoration, distinction, and the long laundry list of other desires will also practice bhakti, but that is not pure bhakti. Just like we know from the history, Prabhupada in one lecture was describing how Jarasandha was worshiping Vishnu. Shukra, different persons in the past have worshipped Vishnu, but because they were personally motivated, it is not considered pure bhakti, mixed bhakti. So what has been taught by the great acharyas, like our Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and all the great acharyas, especially in our sampradaya, is this pure bhakti. This is what's been given. This is what's been presented. And we have to really intelligently distill all of these various statements and understand this point very carefully. Here's another one, Neil Shyama Prabhu. Nectar of instruction number 3, Uttama Bhakti, or unalloyed devotion unto the Supreme Personality of God, Sri Krishna, involves the rendering of devotional service in a way that is favorable to the Lord. This devotional service should be free from any extraneous motive and devoid of fruitive karma, impersonal jnana, and all other selfish desires. Now, there's numerous purports, especially in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. For example, the cleansing of the Gundicha temple Prabhupada explains in the purport all the various weeds that can impede the process of bhakti. We know in the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami in the Madhya Lila, chapter 19, that there is very long description, very accurate description of so many problems that can enter the growth of bhakti, the plant of bhakti, because it is not so cheap. Bhakti was never meant to be engaged for personal gain or for name and fame or for power or prestige. That is not bhakti. That becomes bhukti or sense enjoyment. And one has to be very careful. That is why the recommended process in the beginning is to accept the shelter of a bona fide authorized acharya, like Srila Prabhupada, and to follow the instruction, associate with devotees, become properly initiated, follow the process of bhakti, follow the ekadasis, follow the regulated sadhana so that one can control his senses in order to properly understand the science of bhakti and study this science under the acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Now, many persons in the so many years after Prabhupada departed, it's very important to understand there has been many disturbances in the pure path of bhakti that Prabhupada has presented because of the old problem of personal motivation. One should not engage in bhakti with personal motivation. Of course, somebody may argue, well, everybody has some personal motivation. Yes, that may be. That we understand in the material world. But if one is serious about making spiritual advancement, he has to put these personal motivations aside and understand things properly. Then there will be some result. Then there will be some progress. In any event, I want to make a comment about Neil Sharma Prabhu, old saying, when one chops his own wood, the same wood warns him twice. I was not chopping the wood, technically. I was picking up large pieces of wood that were cut by some utility company to clear the wood near the electrical line that causes fire and all kinds of problems. But thank you for the good warning. It is much appreciated. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Glories to Prabhupada, you hurt your back. Am I guessing? Did you hurt
All
your back?
All different kind of things. Part
What?
of that and other things. Yes, yes, and yes.
Okay, there you go. I thought it was interesting today, Nilesh Sharma, that how Prabhupada explains in the purport the position of the devotee in pure devotional service. And I wanted to go back to that again, to the purport and the first paragraph, the second paragraph. As stated before, the Supreme Lord can only be appreciated by devotional service, only. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. Okay. One should fix his mind fully on Krishna in order to achieve him. One should work only for Krishna. These are all instructions here, very succinct. One should only work for Krishna. It should not matter what kind of work one engages, but that work should be done only for Krishna. That is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than the pleasing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction, just as Arjuna did in the Battle of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, I'm reading this and I'm thinking, who exemplified this perfectly? Who? It was Srila Prabhupada that did. And when we're reading these diaries in the morning, it's demonstrating his commitment, despite all the difficulty. When people stole his typewriter, when they stole his manuscripts, when they stole his money, like we heard this morning in the diary, that Prabhupada couldn't go out because Tom was going to go out, Tom Murray. So he couldn't leave, or Paul Murray, I should say. He couldn't leave because there was no security in the Bowery. But at the same time, he exemplified this total commitment to his spiritual master's orders. As we're reading it, we're seeing it in real time. In his Vani incarnation, he's revealing the disposition of the devotee, and it's him. He's setting the highest example. And we're going to see as it unfolds in due course of time. We're going to continue to read the diaries. We're up to the end again. We're going to see how this whole magic evolved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna and His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It manifested in the life of Srila Prabhupada himself and how hard he worked for this movement. He sacrificed everything, heart attacks, his whole health, his traveling all around the world at a senior age in very difficult situations. Never complained about anything and just kept going, never give up. And here's another point, Nilesh. It's interesting to note that whenever you see Prabhupada in his pictures, and I've looked at, and we're all looking at thousands of pictures of Prabhupada. This is a great blessing for all of us, this social media, because it's opening up our eyes to his glory. He always has his bead bag with him, always. And he's constantly chanting the holy names when he's not translating or instructing or teaching others how to become Krishna conscious. He set, Tom, the perfect example. And if you study his life and see it, you'll know this is the bona fide spiritual master, present in his Vani incarnation and set by his own example. And Prabhupada further, and Nilesh maybe can bring it up for me, or Rupesh, Prabhupada further explains the potency of the chanting of Hare Krishna. It's a very important thing to understand. That Prabhupada in his lecture, he says, when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna is present on your tongue. There is no difference between the holy name of Krishna and Krishna himself. Just like Prabhupada's instructions are non-different than the instructions coming from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's not whimsical. It's not manufactured. It's authoritative. It's scripture for us, everything that he speaks. Yet somehow or other people think they can change it. Prabhupada said, where's the authority if someone changes? A third-class man changes the scripture, changes the instructions. There is no authority. It's mental concoction, mental speculation. So the name of Krishna, here we have, maybe you could read it out, Prabhu, what this section you're referring to.
Yeah, so this is the lecture on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 32 in London, September 2nd, 1973, where Prabhupada is talking about the spiritual potency. He talks about in the part that by chanting Krishna's name, Krishna is present on your tongue. Unless we realize in that way, that then it is the period of Nama Apradha or Nama Bhasa. No Nama Bhasa, Nama Apradha. This is Nama Apradha, to consider that the name is different from the person. As we have got experience in the material world that the name is different from the substance. If you want to drink water, simply if you chant water, 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 your thirst will not be satisfied. But in the spiritual world, the absolute world, the name and the person is the same. Otherwise, why we stress so much on chanting Hare Krishna name? Not we. It is in the Shastra. Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam. Galo nasteva, 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 gatiranyatha. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, 17th chapter, verse 21. This is Shastric, but there are many rascals. They give example that chanting, what is the benefit? I can chant soda water, like that. But they do not know, rascals, that what is Shastra's injunction. And actually it is happening. But they are blind. How these European American boys and girls, simply by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, they are becoming purified. How? Unless there is spiritual potency in chanting, how they are becoming so purified. Even in so-called Hindus, they are surprised how these European and Americans have become so nice devotees. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra has got the power, has got the potency.
Yes. So, very clear here the importance of chanting your rounds. Now, someone a couple of years ago said, "You're micromanaging me," because we were encouraging people to chant their rounds offenselessly. Don't offend devotees. That's also a very serious mistake, to blaspheme a devotee who's dedicated his life to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. Don't blaspheme them. Like sometimes people talk about us, they say, well, look, you're bringing up all these points about other devotees that are not following Prabhupada's instructions. Well, we're here for that purpose, to educate people on the truth. Truth is very important. This is not sentimental religion. This is not whimsical. And it's not compromised. We're not interested. We're not interested in going and living in Mayapur under the shelter of these bogus gurus. No way. No, thank you. We don't need it. We've got our own association. We've got our own purpose. We've got our own holy name, and we've got our own practice, as we went through into this morning's earlier section on what is required to be a Prabhupada disciple. And this way, we're making advancement without the association of those who offend Srila Prabhupada by their personal ambition. Yashodanandana Prabhu, maybe you could further explain.
One devotee recently asked me, why is it that both of you, Vishwakarma and yourself, me, are often mentioning the problems within Prabhupada society and so many devotees? Well, if we look, for example, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Prabhupada was analyzing and discussing what took place in his spiritual master's institution, the Gaudiya Math, in one place, Prabhupada says, we are not proud of this, but the truth must be told. We feel the same way. In the Sri Upanishad, while Srila Prabhupada was describing the difference between Mayavadis and Vaishnavas, he's describing in one place, because the Upanishad is one of Prabhupada's first books that he wrote in the late 1950s, a very important book, very detailed, very powerful presentation of Vaishnava philosophy. And Prabhupada is explaining there is no compromise in the matter of necessity. So in other words, it is not that we take great pleasure in this, but it's a reality, because on one hand, we get a lot of different inquiries from different devotees, from different friends, from different well-wishers, and people who criticize us without carefully understanding or analyzing or studying what we're really saying, that there's some people have called us Prabhupada fanatics, that you people are a bunch of fanatics. Oh, really? If you study the Nectar of Devotion and the presentation that has been given there, Would you say that Rupa Goswami was a fanatic? Or the Sandarbhas, that Jiva Goswami was a fanatic? If we read the writings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there are some of his songs that are very, very deep, with a very deep meaning in his songs, that he's presenting the philosophy and the science of bhakti in a very, very, very practical way, in a very deep way. Like, for example, that song Gopinath, which was one of the first songs that was included in the Vaishnavacharya songbook. There are some very powerful devotional sentiments there. But this person is one of the highest devotee, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he's presenting himself just like an ordinary man, subject to material lust, subject to material ambitions, subject to material energy. You know, there are so many very important devotional sentiments of great devotees, and it's not just for show. It's not just for exaggeration. It's factual. They feel like that. Although they're the highest devotees, with the highest level of realization, they're expressing themselves in the lowest way. Just like in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj expresses himself as lower than the worm in the stool. That if somebody hears his name, he will lose all of his pious activities. And if somebody chants his name, he will incur sinful activity. I mean, here's one of the highest devotee in our sampradaya, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, an associate of Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Sanat Goswami, and he's expressing himself like the lowest person. And a lot of time you see the lowest neophyte, the beginning neophyte, they're very, very proud of their few verses they have learned or whatever they have done. And they're demanding recognition. They're insisting that people should appreciate them, should honor them. Well, this is not the philosophy. This is not the proper understanding. This is not the proper attitude. There are some people who have criticized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he never wrote a commentary on the Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never wrote a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. What they don't understand is that the writings of the 6 Goswamis, the cumulative writing of the Goswamis, which is probably more than 650,000 verses altogether, between Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, when you take into account all of their writings, Prabhupada said, this is the purport of the Shikshastakam. So those who criticize Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, have they really studied the writings of the Goswamis before launching their criticism? Now, this is a very important point, because before people talk, they should take the time to educate themselves and learn to proofread, to double check, triple check what they say, what they write, before opening their mouths or before writing anything. Then there'll be a lot less insulting behavior, a lot of crazy behavior, and a lot of arrogant behavior. Then we can really start to understand and practice the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Trinadapi Sunichena. Hare Krishna.
Yes, it's called the ISKCON. We've termed it. We've taken it from American politics. The ISKCON deep state of misinformation, and it's a colossal fraud that was perpetrated back in 1978, more or less. It started to take foothold then. And it's accumulated now to a stage of complete offensive behavior by thousands of people being misled by this group of leaders, unfortunately, in Prabhupada's movement. We're going to go to Sarvabhauma. We'll have a few people in our panel. We're going to call on them, Paranjana and Dharma Bhavana like that, and Nilesh. Dharma Bhavana, please share your insights. There you go. Your microphone working, young man? Try it. Click it.
Does
Maybe.
unmute. Okay,
Okay.
now okay. All right, thank you. But yeah, I had a few thoughts on my mind. We spoke today about, or you spoke about the surgeon who was very expert. He was very intelligent. I was thinking how, in practice of law, scholarship, or those who are playwrights and write books, if they have a great ability, even if they're not a devotee, we can appreciate that Krishna is the ability in man. We can help us remember Krishna if we just to detect these things. And I was thinking how we talked also about having a motive. It looks like if you get together a few devotees, a group, an organization, a society, or association, and almost always there will be some kind of infiltration, some kind of outside influence that's not healthy. Somebody may be a narcissist or have a material motive, and when they come into the society of devotees, it almost always turns out disaster. I've just kind of noticed this, and we see this around the world. It's very hard to have really a pure society, a pure association of devotees, especially like in some local area. Anyway, just a few thoughts I had. Another thought I had is that somehow or another, the devotees have made so much success of Prabhupada disciples by they tried to have, and it looks like some of the devotees were shouted down by the ISKCON gurus, and they couldn't really have a proper debate. It seems to me now, here we are, almost 2025. There's some kind of debate should be a process attempted, even if they can't decide on what books to use. Somehow or another, it seems like some international debate would be proper. I mean, after all, we've written all these books about investigations about Prabhupada's last year, the couple thousand pages of the ISKCON history books. It just seemed like it may be time for have some international debate, or at least attempt such a thing. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Well, I do have a lot of thoughts on it, actually, and I've put out a challenge, please debate us, but really, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So when you debate these people, they could pretend, but they're already committed to their cults. They have their own cults, and they're trying to recruit new members, and philosophically, it's so far gone that you have to really decide whether you want to associate with them. That's what if
it was done on social media? There must be millions and millions of people that are uncommitted who are trying to figure this thing out. Maybe they would get some benefit then.
If it's possible, we'll try to organize something. I've tried to invite people to come forward, but so far nobody's taken up the request. So if you know somebody, it's a good principle. I mean, the idea
just thinking.
The idea would be this, Nilesh, this is what I was considering. If you can get one of these key persons to accept the principle that Prabhupada is living in sound, and that he is the bona fide spiritual master still with us, and that all of your disciples have been incorrectly initiated by you, and you renounce that position as Diksha Guru, and make all of your disciples Prabhupada disciples, join our classes and be part of the discussion, then this will be a way that we can gradually, it's like a domino effect, go one person at a time, step by step. But not one person, not Bibi Govinda, not Shivaram, they're from Canada, not Romeshwar, not Bhagawan, not one person is stepping up. It's self-revealing in itself. We're seeing it. So we're feeling blessed. I hope our friend Paranjana Prabhu is here. Tim Lee, Paranjana Prabhu. Maybe you could make a comment on this subject or anything you want, Prabhu. Tim Lee, Puranjana in California.
Hi, Bill. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, as far as debating goes, I mean, we're trying to have a debate right now with Rupanuga, for example, and he just says, I don't want to hear any more offensive comments, so this is what we get every time. And Bhagavan, for example, about a year ago, I noticed he was on Facebook, so I made a couple comments and immediately he blocked me. And then later on, one of Bhagavan's children, I can't remember which one, I think a son of Bhagavan, said, "Oh, you're an important contributor. We need to have you on the Bhagavan thing. I'm going to tell my dad to make sure you're on there. And of course, that didn't happen. But I am seeing little snippets of what he's saying, and he's promoting Gaur Keshava, who was the person who reversed all the offerings. We offer first to Krishna, not to the guru, just in case your guru is, a goofball. And so he's with all these, and plus I think Gaur Keshava renounced, ISKCON and ran off to some other sampradaya and all the rest of it. So they're just, they're a club and they just can't be penetrated easily. It would be nice to have a debate, obviously, but when are they going to debate? And it just doesn't seem to be happening. And they seem to be, they've dismantled the Child Protection Office and they've replaced it with 4 lawyers, which doesn't look good. It looks like they're lawyering up and just digging their heels and, making things worse for themselves. So, it's just not going to work easily to convince these people. Plus, I've pointed out a long time ago that if they really admitted that they were responsible for mass banning, beating, molesting, suing, murders, that would be basically incriminating themselves in a lot of crimes. A lot of this is criminal. I have a friend who's a lawyer, and he says, if you're teaching children to worship homosexuals and pedophiles and deviants, that's corrupting the morals of minors. That's illegal. That can't be done. He's surprised no one has made a lawsuit on that. You can't corrupt the morals of minors. It's actually a crime in the United States. But anyway, apart from all that, I've been reading recently more about Prahlad Maharaj, and it's very inspiring for me. So I wanted to just read a little section on Prahlad Maharaj. So what happened was, after Lord Narasingha appeared, everyone was terrified of his appearance, all the demigods, and they were trying to push this person forward and that person forward. Lord Brahma, I think you should talk to him. Well, no, I don't think so. So, Lord Shiva, even Lakshmi, Goddess Lakshmi says, I don't think so. I'm not going to be able to appease the Lord. So they selected Prahlad. Prahlad, you should go forward. He came on your behalf. Maybe you should talk to him. And Prahlad just fearlessly walked up to Lord Narasingha. And here's what he said. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 7:9, text 15. My Lord, who are never conquered by anyone, I am certainly not afraid of your ferocious mouth and tongue, your eyes bright like the sun, or your frowning eyebrows. I do not fear your sharp, pinching teeth, your garland of intestines, your mane soaked with blood, or your high wedge-like ears. Nor do I fear your tumultuous roaring, which makes elephants flee to distant places, or your nails, which are meant to kill your enemies. O most powerful, insurmountable Lord, who are very kind to the fallen souls, I have been put into the association of demons as a result of my activities, and therefore I am very much afraid of my condition of life within this material world. When will that moment come when you will call me to the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the ultimate goal for liberation from conditioned life? O Great One, O Supreme Lord, because of combination with pleasing and displeasing circumstances, and because of separation from them, one is placed in a most regrettable position within heavenly or hellish planets, as if burning in a fire of lamentation. Although there are many remedies by which to get out of miserable life, any such remedies in the material world are more miserable than the miseries themselves. Therefore, I think The only remedy is to engage in your service. Kindly instruct me in such service. Oh, my Lord Nrsinga, by engaging in your transcendental loving service and the association of devotees who are liberated souls, Hamsa, I shall become completely uncontaminated by the association of the three modes of material nature and be able to chant the glories of your Lordship, who are so dear to me. I shall chant your glories, following exactly in the footsteps of Lord Brahma and his disciplic succession. In this way, I shall undoubtedly be able to cross the ocean of nescience. So that's a little drop of nectar from Prahlad Maharaj, and it's very instructive for us to, as Prabhupada says, we should study the prayers of these great saintly people. You know, there's so many prayers by the gopis, prayers by Lord Brahma, prayers by all these different demigods to Krishna, and if we Prabhupada says, if you want to learn how to pray to Krishna, you should study these prayers. Haribol.
Yashoda, could you further comment, please?
Well, that purport was very self-explanatory, very, very deep instruction. It's very difficult to have a society dedicated to the pure practice of bhakti if the leaders are full of hidden motivations themselves. Just like recently you raised the issue, we all heard the instruction from Srila Prabhupada that devotees in this movement should distribute his books, his unchanged books, his original books. But yet in Europe, there is a leader who spent a lot of money, a lot of time writing his own books, and he's engaging his followers and his disciples to distribute his books. Something is wrong with this picture. This was not Prabhupada's instruction that people should start to distribute their own books, their own presentation, and neglect the distribution of Prabhupada's books. Now, if somebody writes an article for Bhakti Guided magazine or writes an article, okay, that's understandable, but not that we neglect and suppress the study and publication of Prabhupada's original books to promote their own books. Yeah. That is not correct. That is the first point. Hare Krishna.
Well, it's going on. It's I know who it is. It's a devotee that joined in Montreal when I was the Sankirtan leader. Stephen was his name. He was in engineering, and he's become Shivaram up in Hungary, and he's written all these books that are all concocted, mental speculation, and he's having his so-called followers distribute them, and it's a sin. Someone says, well, you can't say that. Well, it is a sin. Nilesh Shama in Florida. Go ahead, Prabhu. You've got a question for Yashoda Nandana.
Yes, I have two questions, but I'm going to talk about first part is what Yashodanand Prabhu was saying about calling yourself and him fanatics, Prabhupada fanatics. So I would like to share something over here from Prabhupada's lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, text 26 and 27. And this is in Philadelphia, July 12, 1975. And I'm going to read the highlighted version only. That, yes, this is the order. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Koriya Aikya. This is the prayer we always sing. Now, Chitta means consciousness or heart. I shall do this only. But my Guru Maharaj told me I shall do this. Chittete Koriya Aikya. Arana Kori Ho Mane Asha. So it is not my pride, but I can say for your instruction, I did it. Therefore, whatever little success you see, that all my god brothers, it is due to this. I have no capacity, but I took it, the words of my Guru, as life and soul. So this is a fact. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Aikya. Everyone should do that. And if he makes addition, alteration, then he is finished. No addition, alteration. You have to approach Guru. Guru means faithful servant of God, Krishna, and take his word how to serve him. Then you are successful. if you concoct, I'm very intelligent than my guru, and I can make addition or alteration, then you are finished. So that is the only, and now sing further. Sri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati. Prabhupada, Sri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati. If you want to make real progress, then you must firmly, faithful at the lotus feet of the Guru. This is what we're talking about. So, it is interesting that all these things we are saying is related to the words as to we have to follow this very strict knife-edge path of bhakti. If we don't, we are all going to be finished. And this comes to another point of mine, which I wanted to ask Yashodanandan Prabhu, that there is another part which is saying, how does the potency enter into the mantra? Everybody is chanting Hare Krishna mantra, even the so-called followers of these so-called fake gurus. But Prabhupada, in his purport of the Maha Mantra, says that you should avoid listening of this Maha Mantra from the lips of a non-devotee as much as you avoid touching the milk touched by a serpent. Now, why would you do this? So, until and unless this potency is not infused into the mantra by the bona fide representative, can we get the same results? So, I would like to know from him. And then there is another small corollary question which I can ask later after Yashodanandan can answer that question. How does the potency enter into the Maha Mantra?
The potency does not enter into the Maha Mantra. The potency is always within the Maha Mantra. In the Padma Purana, it is described, this is how it works, that the name of Krishna, Abhinnatvam Nama Naminaha. Abhinna means non-different. The name Krishna is non-different than the person Krishna. And the reason why in the beginning we don't realize this is because of offenses. That's why whenever Prabhupada initiated people, there's always a section of his lecture that he discusses that you chant Hare Krishna and you follow these principles and avoid offenses. In other words, it's not enough, oh, I chant Hare Krishna. No, it should be done in a specific way, in a proper way. And Prabhupada, just like there was one American singer, Alice Coltrane, she did a very famous recording and many people liked it. She was chanting Hare Krishna on the recording. And Prabhupada said, yes, that is very good. But then Prabhupada advised Rameswar, but she should also follow the proper process. Otherwise, it can become degraded and it will become sahajya. And we've seen this in India. When Vishwakarma acquired the Toronto temple, Prabhupada told him, please do not turn this temple into a Haribol Sampradaya. And Vishwakarma told me the story soon afterwards. And he asked Prabhupada, well, what is a Haribol Sampradaya? And Prabhupada says, in India, especially in Bengal, there's a lot of people, they sing Haribol, Haribol, Hare Krishna, but they do not study the Shastra. So you have to be careful. You have to chant, but you have to study the books. Otherwise, eventually the Haribol will become stop, and it will, if they don't study the Shastra, that problem will come. So the Maha Mantra is always potent, but according to our conditioning, we're not able to perceive. That is why there is recommendation to carefully read the books, study the books, analyze the books, original books, not concocted books. That is very important. And what are the other points that you mentioned in the beginning of your little speech there?
Prabhuji, I'd like to read a letter which Prabhupada wrote in 1957, May 7th. May 7th, 1957 to Padmapat Singhania, where he talks about this Nama. In continuation of my yesterday's letter, which I hope you have duly received by this time, this reference to your request of submitting the way of powerful mantra for broadcasting all over the world, I beg to inform you further that in every mantra, the prefix of Namaha is generally added. Just for example, you said the other day, Namaha Shivaya. Now, this mantra is practically indicating the holy name of Lord Shiva. Na means negation and ma means false ego or ahamkara. Therefore, Namaha means surrendering to the name Shiva. In other words, to accepting the supremacy of Lord Shiva means Namaha Shivaya. Therefore, the conclusion is that the mantra, the name of the deity, is unavoidably amalgamated. And in the mantra, the spiritual power by the rishis like Narada, etc., is surcharged like copper is electrified by magnetic force. The etymological alphabets are so surcharged with spiritual potency, and as such, all mantra indicating the transcendental holy name of the God or Godhead is to be understood in that way. When we chant the mantra, we as presented by the authorities, the process helps communication with the personality of Godhead by the sound waves as we now experience in the material world as physical waves or vibrations. The powerful mantras have such potency if they are sounded in the right direction. And by chanting the mantras only can one spiritualize the whole existence as heat can expand on the spherical objects. Mantra siddhi means complete liberation. And of course, he explains further and further. So this is what I was taught, and I'm thinking is, so what happens to the devotees who are chanting the Hare Krishna mantra from the pseudo gurus?
Prabhupada explains, Sampradaya vihinaye mantraste nishpalamataha. One has to receive the mantra in proper disciplic succession. And this is the crux of the still ongoing controversy. Were these people ever authorized by Prabhupada as Diksha gurus? If so, when and how? They've never been able to answer that question in 46 years, despite all the interpretations of people like Rupanuga Bhagavan and everybody else on this GBC board, the swamp, the GBC swamp. The reason we say that is because they suppress discussion. They suppress very crucial information. They did not discuss with all the temple president, with all the sannyasis, with all the devotees. They prevented discussion. They discussed secretly amongst themselves, and they introduced this false idea, this falsehood, that they had been appointed as Prabhupada successors and as initiating gurus. That is a lie. That is a falsehood that has never been proven. As a matter of fact, one of them, when he was suspended in 1980 and 1970, admitted that this idea that Prabhupada appointed gurus is a myth. Myth means a falsehood. Okay, the problem is they were not willing to accept what Prabhupada were trying to tell them. They were not hearing what they want. They heard what they wanted to hear. They did not hear all the conversations. Neither did they make these conversations available for almost 10 years after Prabhupada departed. Why? Why did you suppress discussion? Why did you go take advice from so many different advisors from neo-mats? Why? Prabhupada didn't give you enough instruction. And this is the problem. When people disobey the instruction of the spiritual master, there's chaos. There's chaos in the devotional society, chaos with all the scandals and nonsense. Look at the history of these original 11. Very important point. Unless one follows this parampara system, the mantra one receives will be chanted for no purpose. While somebody may argue, well, the Maha Mantra always has some potency. Yes, but it will be delayed. In order to have the full potency, one has to receive the mantra properly in bona fide disciplic section and follow the instruction. These people did not follow the instruction. That's the deep state for you. A secret cabal of people who made their own decisions without talking to anybody else. And they thought they knew better because they're going to tell you, oh, I was there, we were with Prabhupada. One of them told me, oh, I was one of their leading devotees. Prabhupada would have told me personally if he wanted this or that. Oh, Prabhupada has to tell you? He has to tell each and every separate leader individually? Why? Because they had some other intentions. That is why. They had some other motivation. They were not satisfied just to follow the instruction, not to change the teachings, not to concoct. And that has been the root cause of all the problems. And they're still, as of today, many of them are still arguing on the internet about their so-called ideas. And when we challenge them and give so many arguments, they will not answer. They will not answer. Why did you go there? For example, I keep arguing this 46 years later. Who are you to tell the devotees that you consulted with higher authorities? Who are these higher authorities? Who did you consult? When did Prabhupada ever tell the GBC to go consult with higher authorities? Are they any higher authorities than him in his movement? But why did they put that nonsense at the end of their report? They still can't answer the question. One of them said, oh, it was a typing mistake. Sorry, sir, you put it there. You want to be worshipped as the sum total of all demigods, as Nikunja Yuno, and you utter some nonsense like that? Who are you? Who are you? Why don't you answer these questions? That is just one set of questions. There's a lot of other questions. Thank you, to whom it may concern. Hare Krishna.
And thank you, everyone, for attending today's very detailed, informative discussion of philosophy given by Srila Prabhupada to us in all of the different mediums that he used to educate us on truth. And we're searching for truth where we've found it. We're constantly searching. Prabhu, we're getting close to 12 o'clock. It's a long session. Go ahead. Please.
I just wanted to read the sentence before the sentence which Yashodanand Prabhu wrote, and I put it in the chat. The bona fide spiritual master is he who has received the mercy of his guru, who in turn is bona fide because he has received the mercy of his guru. This is called parampara system, not just, oh, because I'm a disciple, now I become a guru. The bona fide spiritual master is one who has received the mercy of his guru. Praptasya kalyana gunarna vashya vande guru shri charanaravindam. So if you're going to follow these prayers, you understand these prayers and then apply the real meaning towards it. I would like to know what Yashodanand Prabhu has to say. Hare Krishna.
They will claim that they have received the mercy. Well, if they have received so much mercy, why did you go to persons who disobeyed their own guru? Why did you go consult individuals that Prabhupada said disobeyed the instruction of their guru? In other words, there are too many contradictions and unanswered questions with that swamp there. It's a political cartel for money making. That's what it really is. Posing in posture as acharyas while disobeying the acharya. You can't have two contradictory philosophies coming from two corners of their mouths. If they want to go consult other people and bringing so many false ideas and nonsense ideas and force these ideas upon the society, and when we start asking them questions, then all hell broke loose. When Prajimna brought up the point that what you people are introducing here with these guru pujas, zonal nonsense, all of these pada pujas and pranam mantras and pada titles, Prabhupada did not give any of this, did not discuss any of this in the last few months of his disappearance. Their only answer, well, Prabhupada says we're in charge and that's what we've decided. Oh, thank you. Does that answer the question? It doesn't. And afterwards, what did they do? They engaged in the systematic campaign of character assassination against this saintly devotee and kicked him out of the society for raising questions that they could not answer. They still cannot answer the question. Let it come here. We'll ask them question again in front of everybody. For example, in 1986, what did they do? They reinstated a sexual pervert and a sexual deviant as an acharya. And you're telling us that we should accept this swamp and this deep state corruption? Telling us that you're representative of the parampara? You don't represent any parampara. You are a nonsense deviant who has insulted Srila Prabhupada, insulted the Mahajans, insulted the previous acharyas, and you don't belong on any Vyasasanas for anything. The only thing you should do is go pay your obeisance to Prabhupada and all the devotees again and again for the rest of your life with tears in your eyes and beg for mercy and forgiveness for all the disgusting nonsense that you've brought. You've brought the reputation of Srila Prabhupada and his wonderful society into disrepute. And when you do that, we might take you seriously. It doesn't matter if you were there with Prabhupada or what you are. Right now, you are a complete nonsense. Sampradaya vihinaye vihinaste nishpalamata. Whatever mantra you give will have zero effect. That's why we see that society inventing mantras that were never given by Prabhupada, inventing so many things, so much nonsense. Thank you very much. Again, to whom it may concern, let it go back to these people in the swamp, the GBC swamp, and their secret cartel of money-making, Kali Chelas Apasampradaya. Thank you. And if they're protesting, let them come. We'll ask them some question again.
Thank you, everyone, for attending today's very blissful discussion. The devotees, they take great joy and happiness in discussing the glories of the pure devotees and the glories of Sri Krishna and the Sankirtan movement. So this is a very golden opportunity for all of us with the use of technology to share this information with each other on a weekly basis. And we want to invite you to come tomorrow to Srimad Bhagavatam class. We'll be reading from the original Delhi version. Someone said, well, that Prabhupada didn't authorize those. You know, it's actually a great treasure, these books. They're so pure and unadulterated. We understand that Prabhupada wanted his books to be edited under his authorization for the universities and different libraries throughout the world to receive. But these Delhi Bhagavatams are so blissful for all of the committed disciples of Srila Prabhupada to read the so-called errors which we don't see and enjoy the transcendental message that he delivered to all of us on how to go back home, back to Godhead in this one lifetime. One lifetime. So keep going, don't stop. Nilesh, never give up. Keep surrendering. Step up. Not you specifically, I'm not directing it to you, I'm just speaking. Step up and serve. That's
You're
the
right.
bottom line. Hare Krishna.
You're right. Even I
We're going
have
to
to
move
step up.
forward. What? Thank you, Tom. You look beautiful with your long hair, despite whatever. I used to have long hair like that. It's good. You're a good person. Keep going. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's go with the kirtan and then the obeisances and further statements, if there's any. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare
let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindobhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Hare Krishna. Thanks everybody for attending this program. My apologies again for being a little late today. We look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, corresponding to 10 o'clock Eastern Board Time in Florida and Hamilton, Ontario. And thanks everybody, Vishwakarma Prabhu in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Neil Sharma Prabhu in Florida, Bhakta Tam in Germany or wherever you are, Krishna Kata in San Diego, Ruchita Mataji in Montreal, Kantadas in Trinidad or wherever you're traveling, and everybody participating, and not to forget our very good friend Ram Raghava Prabhu and his good wife Eunice in Georgia. Thanks everybody. We look forward to seeing you again for an enlivening discussion, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.